Hi guys, Sarah the Northwoods Stitcher here. I thought I would do a little quick tutorial about stamping some cards and using some watercolor pencils. And I also found these in my travels. These are some old cross-stitch cards that I've shown in previous videos. So I think I will stitch up some smalls and do a video as well about how I do my little cards that I cross-stitch. But this is watercolor today. So I'm trying to use my GoPro camera. We'll see how well this works. I have a package of cards and envelopes. And these you can get at Michael's. This is where I got these. Yeah, I think Michael's. You could probably get some at Joann's too, or any of your local craft stores. These are the smaller ones. I like different kinds and colors, but this is just a standard white. And you can see there is a seam that's scored, so it tells you how to fold it. So I really just line it up. And then I kind of press the edges. You can use a tool to do this. Any hard surface will work, just to make sure it lies flat. So I have a card and an envelope. And I have some very simple designs of stamps. I think, which one should I do? I think I'll do the Happy Holidays. So I've got this cute little snowman stamp that we'll use. And I will stamp this in a permanent black ink. The reason I use a permanent black ink, which is a StazOn, this is the brand I like, is because when you get the image wet with your watercolor pencils, the inked image will not bleed. If you used a water-based ink, it'll bleed and run on your paper. So this is just a jet black color, StazOn. I do store all of my ink pads upside down because the pad will stay wet that way. When I open up an ink pad, I also mark down the year that I opened it. So I get one about once a year. There's no right way or wrong way to ink up a stamp. You can pat it together. You can put it on the table. And just keep checking your surface to make sure that you're getting ink everywhere. I do tell people to play with your stamp on a scrap piece of paper to see how the image will come out, so you know where to put the pressure on the stamp to get it to ink properly. But we're just going to freehand this one, see how it goes. I'm going to try to press evenly on all four corners. Let's see how it came out. Perfect. Oh my goodness. Isn't that cute? So I'm going to make sure that my stamp and my ink pad are put safely to the side. And check my hands to make sure I didn't get any ink on them. Now, watercolor pencils say watercolor pencils on them. You can get a whole bunch of different brands. So Stampin' Up! Makes some, Staedtler makes some, Prismacolor makes some. I have a ton of them. You're just looking for anything that says watercolor pencils, which means after you draw with it and apply water, it'll look like a watercolor. So let's see. I probably want to do... I'll do the ornaments, some color, and then probably add green to his hat. Yeah, let's do that. So I've got my greens. Is this a red? That looks like a red. And I'll do a yellow. So really, you're not coloring it in totally. You're just kind of outlining an area. And see how I'm just outlining it? I want it to have this watercolored effect. So I'm going to do some lines in the dark green. And then I'll do some lighter green shade-in colors. I'm not pressing down as hard. Oh, I almost forgot his nose. Let's do an orange for the carrot nose. And then I'm going to take a light blue to suggest some snow, cold colors. Now you can use a regular brush, paintbrush, and you can just dab it into some water, and then you would dab it on a paper towel until it's a damp brush. You don't want it soaking wet. If this card gets soaking wet, it'll warp. I also use something that's filled with water, and it is damp. You squeeze the water to the tip. I use my hand to see how wet it is, and if it's just a damp brush, then I'll start playing with it. Oh, I better take my glasses off for this. So when you go from one color to the next, you'll want to use your paper towel to make sure that the red's not going to bleed into the yellow. Sometimes I just use my hand. It's just a kiss of blue at the bottom. It's very, very faint. I find this very relaxing. Because there's so much green on this brush now, I think I'll do these little tassels at the end. Maybe I'll kiss that green up top. So that's it. That is a watercolored effect. Now there's so little water used, you can't see any bubbling on the card. But isn't that cute? Now what I would do is probably take like a little glitter pen and outline the snowman figure so it looks like there's some ice. I could also line these sticks that are his arms, so we know that those are brown. That's cute. I like it. And there's watercolor pencils 101. Very easy to do. Now you just want to make sure that your brush tip is clean of anything. So you can wipe it on your paper towel, give it a squish. Make sure there's no color bleeding out. You can see how it gets stained after a while. And I do have some water left in there. Then all I would do is maybe put a little glitter effect on it. Maybe stamp a sentiment on the inside and put my name on the back. And there's your first little Christmas card. So if you're interested in doing this, you would need to pick up a permanent ink stamp pad. You can get a stamp that has an image that would be fun to fill in, but simple. So when you're looking at the image of the stamp on the front, think of what you want to color in and make sure when you flip it over that this is not filled in. This is a hollow shaped body. Just make sure that it matches the front idea. And you can pick up, let's see, the pad, the stamp, cards. You could use scrap paper that you have at home, and watercolor pencils and a brush. And you can make your own cards. So I extended the video a little bit because I realized I have to grab a birthday card for somebody. And I was looking at this image. So this is another example of a wooden stamp that I want to watercolor. And I was looking to see, okay, I can color the cake. I can color him, his little tail, his hands. And it looks like it's got plenty of space to do that as well. Here is another example. This actually is almost like a cheat sheet because it gives you the ideas that you need to do watercolor. And there is another way to get this effect without using watercolor pencils. You can actually use regular markers. Using regular markers, you would outline the leaves and the stem with a green marker, and this is a brush tip marker that you would be using. So it would look like a brush. And you would outline the flowers. You can't do the inside of the flower because that's hollow. You see how that's hollow? But you could do the outline. And after you have painted with the markers on your stamp, now markers are predominantly water-based, so it'll be easy to get off your stamp if you're going to use a cleaner to do it. Then you would probably huff on it after you've done all that drawing. You would go, oh. So just breathe some hot air onto it to get it a little moist and then stamp your image. We're actually going to do a watercolor image. So I've got 2 cards pre-folded. We're going to ink this one up. And I'm making sure these tiny little petals are inked up. Now I can turn this into a birthday card by just writing happy birthday in it, or I can get a birthday stamp. I think we'll just use this as a plain front. And then I can change whatever I need it to be later. Okay, the great reveal. Boop. Oh, it's awful. Okay, we're not going to panic. I'm going to re-ink. And I am going to go over to my scrap pile and get a white piece of paper. That looks good. And then I'll consider what background I'll put it on. So now I am going to take the scrap piece of paper re-stamp, add more pressure, and it's still a little off. You see how I'm missing that corner and that corner? There is a trick for this. We're going to take a permanent black marker and we're going to fix that edge and that petal, and now it looks perfect. So what I'm going to do is cut this to fit that. So let's take some greens. Let's do the light green. Let's take some blues. Let's get a dark blue going. And it's fun because you can just scribble in there. And then I want some reds. And let's take the brush. We'll do the reds first. And this is why I scribble, because you kind of want it to look like it has a washed effect. Use my paper towel. I'm going to do the lighter color blue first, because then I can go straight into the dark blue. Isn't that a pretty effect though? It's not as harsh as, say, a marker. And this I can get really sloppy on. I don't have to cover the whole area. So that's pretty cute. Don't know what that is. Oh well. So now I'm going to use a little paper cutter, so I want to trim this up, because now that I'm mounting something on top of a card front, I want to probably put a little border behind it, border of color. So I'm going to trim this down. And you see, I'm just going to kind of make a bordered piece that goes under it. I'm not even going to properly measure. I'm just going to eyeball it. So I'm not throwing out a card. I'm just fixing my mistake. It's just paper. See, I've got a little gnarly mark there. There we go. Much clean cutted. So now I will mount this to the front. And then I will mount this to that. And that's much better. Cover up my whole mistake. So there's another card. I'll just use a double-sided sticky tape, which I don't have handy right now. But let's do the little monkey. Let's do a do-over with these guys. Get a card out. And my ink pad. Ooh, that image is stamping up nice. Make sure this is nice and juicy. Oh, look, I just got it on my thumb. And it's, oh, got it on both my hands. All right, let's see about this guy. Make sure I get the tail. Make sure I get the base. All right, I've pressed. Ready? Great reveal. Oh, little crooked, but cute. I think he's fine. All right, let's get some color on him. Stays on ink, a permanent ink, is so quick to dry that you literally just have to do this. It's not so wet that it can't handle your markers or your pencils. So what am I going to do with this guy? I think I'll do his head a dark brown and his body and his arm and his tail. And then I think I'll use like a peach or an off-white to do his ears and his little mouth area. I will give him a pink little tongue. And I'll do his hands in a cream. And then I will do, what will I do? In this set, I don't have any purples, so I'm pretty limited. So I think what I'll do is I'll do dark blue, that should be enough to really fill in the dark blue. And then I will do, this will be the light blue area. And then, do I want a red in here or a pink? I think I'll do a pink. Pink is not my favorite color, but I think that'll be cute. So I'm going to do the lighter colors first. So I'm going to do the peach. And then I'll go into the pink. Oop, he bled a little bit. Just kind of touched it and it moved. I think the more you use watercolor pencils, the more you feel how it's going to behave on paper. So if it's too wet, you can always blot it with a paper towel. See, I haven't done the brown yet. I'm busy with my blues. Let's go up and do some brown. Did you guys have that paint with water when you were a kid? Remember those little coloring books or paint with water books that you could get? Came with a paintbrush. All you had to do was get a cup of water and you were set for the afternoon. They're hard to find. You can still find them. And that's kind of cute. So, little monkey. I think he's pretty cute. And I'll probably put some glitter on it. Now let's pause this. I'll get some glitter pen. All right, I've had a couple of Good and Plenties. I grabbed my double-sided sticky tape. I always buy these with a 40% off coupon. I just want to make sure that I get the corners. I might be a little heavy on my tape usage. So I made sure there's tape in all 4 corners. I don't measure, I just line it up and eyeball it. And press it down. With this piece, I don't have to use so much tape. And then I'm going to eyeball it and put it to the front. So there's the card with the mistake on it. Now this is my glitter pen that I like to use. You can get these at Michael's, maybe Joann's, although I don't recall seeing them there. These are called Jelly Roll pens. And they are a Japanese ink by Sakura. S-A-K-U-R-A. This one is called Clear Star. The name is on there. It just adds a kiss of glitter to something. I don't even know if it's going to show up on film. But I just kind of outline things. So when you move the card around, you'll see a little glitter to it. It's not very heavy. Can you see how it glitters? Maybe not. But it adds a little shimmer to the card front. I like the effect. So I like to do this to a lot of my cards. I think I probably have about 5 of these lying around in the room. So I did have an envelope for this, didn't I? So I just paired up with the envelope, set it aside to dry. This ink will take longer to dry. Same thing with this little guy. What would I do to glitterify him? I think I'll play with the cake. Maybe the polka dots. Maybe the bubbles. Outline. So there's a little shimmer to that now. Maybe I'll do this whole area. It just doesn't look like a black hole. That's cute. Maybe I'll do his eyes. Hey! So there's number 2. Now the snowman. What was I gonna do? Oh, I was gonna do the snow. The buttons. Let's do the tops of the ornaments. And the pom-pom. So hopefully you guys can see it shimmering. It's really cute the way. There we go, fuzzy. Very, very, very cute. Okay, so that's 3 cards in probably what, 10 minutes? Except for my pausing to get things. So now I'm really going to sign off, unless I see something else when I grab another stamp. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it inspires you maybe to do a little stamping or to just do some card making. Have fun, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Happy crafting and be safe. So I almost forgot. You have to clean the stamps. This is a permanent ink. If it was a water-based ink, we would just wash it with soap and water and let it air dry. But since this is a permanent ink, I did use another stamp. I actually buy the Stays On stamp cleaner that you can get as well at Michael's. It turns out I can get refills for it, but I have also since searched down its chemical compounds, and it's just an inkjet cleaning solution. So it is cheaper to buy it in one of those forms, either the refill. You spray it on the stamp. Well, it goes a long way. And it just wipes off. See how clean that is now? This one didn't have ink on it before. Or maybe it did, and I washed it so well. Once you have cleaned it this way, you do rinse it. But you don't want that solution to stay on the rubber. Some of my stamps are, over 40 years old, maybe 42. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean. You just want most of it off. Don't get pedantic about it. It's not that important. So just a water rinse, air dry, and it'll be happy. I keep signing off and coming back on. Oops. And then I do rinse off my little pad. This is just a piece of foam. You can buy stamp cleaning pads. I don't spend the money on stuff like that, so I found a few at garage sales. But this, I think, came in some packaging, and I said, oh, this will work. I'm gonna let that rinse and just kind of drip dry in my strainer here. I'm trying to get my towel. And make sure you don't have any of that stuff on your hands. It's not dangerous, you just don't want to stick it in your eye. So, Stays On all-purpose stamp cleaner refill. And it looks like it's made in the USA. Use in well-ventilated area. Avoid contact with eyes and skin. I've never had any problems with this. Just use it and wash it off. It doesn't do anything to your skin. So, see if this says anything like that. Rinse with water. Do not drink. Yep. Made in China. So, not so good. I tried. And I did end up stamping a few more. I thought that my St. Patty's Day folder was pretty empty. So I did 8 of these. I'm going to color them. And then they're going to go in my St. Patty's Day binder. Okay, now I'm really signing off, guys. I need to go have some more Good and Plenty and hydrate. Most important. Toodles!